Are you thinking that you'd really like a career in management, but you're just not sure what you need to do to capture the attention of those who can influence your career? Then you need to begin by demonstrating 4 key leadership attributes. And fortunately, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Jeff LaSalle. I'm your Boosting Leadership coach. And today I'm going to show you the 4 key requisites to a career in management. Things that you've got to demonstrate in order for people to notice you. Now, before we get started, if you'd take a minute and please hit the subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it, and that way you won't miss any future videos. So, how do you get noticed as a candidate for management? Recognize first that any career influencer who's basically your boss or boss's boss or somebody up the food chain who can really send opportunities your direction, they've got limited time and they can't afford to waste that time on people who aren't solid bets. So they've got to find future leaders, but they want to find people who are a solid bet for being successful as a future leader if they're going to invest in them. So here's what you need to do. You need to demonstrate to them that you possess what it takes. So again, there's 4 key things that you need to be demonstrating here, 4 key attributes. The first one is aspiration. You know, frankly, management is difficult. You're going to work a lot of long hours. At times you're going to make decisions that are deeply, deeply unpopular. You will be hated at times by a certain percentage of your workforce. You'll be held to really, really high standards and maybe held to some pretty arbitrary and lofty goals that at first blush may seem pretty difficult, if not impossible. Why do you want this? If you still want it after hearing that, it's probably because you want to help others succeed, and that's a good reason to get into management and leadership. So you need to demonstrate this aspiration to those career influencers. How do you do that? Well, the first thing is work ethic matters. Showing up on time, showing up prepared, putting in a solid day's work. Now, this doesn't mean that you're working 18-hour days, but it does mean that while you're at work, you're taking things seriously and you're getting things done. That's work ethic. Now, in addition to work ethic mattering, really taking some tough assignments will help, because that's how you show that you're willing to take on difficult challenges and demonstrate that work ethic. Now, a good way to do this is when the bosses ask for volunteers to take on a certain project and nobody raises their hand, that's time for you to shine. That's the time for you to illustrate your aspiration to get into leadership. Okay, second thing you need to do. You need to be coachable. So what do we mean by being coachable? Really, it means that you can take constructive feedback and you can demonstrate that you can do something with this constructive feedback. And, you know, performance reviews is a classic example of feedback, or at least the opportunity for some good feedback. If your boss is doing their job, they're going to find some things that you aren't doing perfectly, and they're going to tell you about them. That's not to make you angry, that's to help you improve. And so can you take that feedback and do something with it? Do you go back to them later on and say, hey, you know what, I've thought about what you told me in our performance review, and this is what I'm going to do about it to improve. Can you give me some feedback on my plan? And later on, can you give me some feedback on how I'm doing? Because I really want to improve this. That's demonstrating being coachable. Third thing you need to demonstrate is your ability to empathize with people. So we know that you've obviously heard that you need to listen to understand, and you probably understand by now that that means actively listening with your whole body, because a lot of our communication is going to be visual, it's body language. So we need to be listening with our eyes as well as with our ears. But empathy goes a step beyond just active listening. Demonstrating empathy means that you are putting yourself into the other person's shoes. You're really trying to connect and feel what they're feeling. If you can do this, Number one, you're really going to understand their point of view. Number two, you're going to have much better data to make decisions on. But number three is you will be much more successful in a leadership position. Management and leadership need to develop the skill of demonstrating empathy, and your influencers are going to look for evidence of that before they invest in you. Next thing, resilience. When you get knocked down, do you pick yourself back up again? It's going to happen. You're going to fail at times. And when you get into taking on tough assignments, you're going to fail more often. So what do you do when you fail? Do you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and think about, oh, this is something I can do differently, and then try again? Or do you just get into grumpy Gus mode and give up and take your toys and go home? Influencers are going to be looking for the person who can say, oh, okay, this didn't go quite right. This is what I'm going to do differently, and let's go try again. That's resilience. Okay, so there are the 4 main items that you need to demonstrate. If you want to go into a career in management, start demonstrating these items right away. You can do it. Do you have aspiration? Can you be coached? Do you demonstrate empathy? And are you resilient when in the face of failure? Thanks a lot for listening. And again, if you would, please hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any future videos.